could be as simple as the tag on the pajamas is itching the child's back. So by going in and out of the room every 10 minutes, you're not really solving that problem. So we're not really looking into everything that impacts sleep to meet their needs and get them to sleep better. So that's why I highly advise the holistic approach always.
You're listening to the Madinat Mom Podcast, where real moms talk, experts share insights, and coffee fuels the chat so you can thrive in motherhood. I'm Nour, your host, and I'm here to remind you that you are not alone in your journey. My guest today, Nada, is a holistic baby sleep and well-being specialist and a mom of 3. Her own struggles with sleep, especially with her twin boys, led her to rethink traditional sleep training and dive into the science of child development. Now she helps moms find gentle, connection-based sleep solutions that actually work. Thank you for being here, Nada.
Thank you for having me, Nour.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, as you said, my name is Nada. I'm a mom of 3 boys. I had my boys a little bit back to back. So my eldest was 1 year when I found out I was pregnant with twins. They were born when he was 18 months old. I was living in Canada at the time, so it was a little bit hectic to juggle 3 kids at the same time. Newborns, basically, 2 newborns and a toddler. And then a few months in, me and my husband, we decided to move to the UAE, and we've been here in Dubai for the past 4 years now, and we love it, honestly.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
3 boys.
Yes.
How is that?
It's beautiful. I love it. Everybody keeps asking me, are you guys going to try for a girl? And then, no, I love it. I love being a boy mom, honestly. I always thought I wanted a girl, but they are just so fulfilling. I love every minute I get to spend with them. It's really nice raising them.
And having them so close apart, I can only imagine what your sleep journey was like.
Yes, sleep journey. So basically, I was sleep deprived for a couple of years, as you can imagine. I remember when my eldest, Sammy, he was 9 months old. I was living in Canada at the time. So we were doing a doctor's visit. And he asked me, is Sammy sleeping through the night yet? And I said no. He was a breastfed baby who was waking up every 2 to 3 hours to nurse. I was like, no, he still wakes up to breastfeed. And then the doctor said, well, Nada, you need to sleep train. But I said, what if it's harmful, to leave him to cry? And he said, no, he's not going to remember. You have to do it. Otherwise, you're just going to be sleep deprived for the next couple of years. And then I believed him. What do I know as a first-time mom? He's a doctor. So I went and I researched, and I remember booking with a sleep consultant in Canada. It was the year 2020, so it was COVID. It was not someone I could meet in person. It was just online. And she went and she gave me the chair method, to do. So I remember it was just something copy-pasted off of Google. It was nothing, she didn't get to know my child. She didn't ask about medical conditions, his growth, milestones, none of that. She didn't get to know Sammy, and it was just something copy-pasted, a one-size-fits-all approach. And she told me to just go ahead and do it. And to be honest with you, we tried that, me and my husband, for literally less than a minute. So it was basically, it required us to have a chair next to his crib in the bedroom and to just leave him in the bed but not make any eye contact with him, and just gradually push the chair out of the room, every, I don't know what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you just basically leave the room. So basically, less than 1 minute in, we were we're not doing this. It's not for us. It might work for some people. It doesn't work for us. I couldn't just hear my baby cry and not be responsive to him. But I remember that night, I texted the sleep trainer who was waiting for me on the other side, on the chat, on the group chat, and she said, how's it going? How did it go? Do you need any support? And I was like, it's all good. He fell asleep. I was ashamed to let her know that we stopped it. And I remember then I just rocked him back to sleep. I didn't want him to cry. But I felt ashamed. I felt like I failed my son because I did not sleep train him. And I was ashamed to let her know that I rocked him to sleep, because we were made to believe that this is wrong. Right? So that's how my journey with sleep training started. So I learned that this was not what works for my family. And moving forward, I just rocked him to sleep for the rest of his nights. And then I had my twins. As I just mentioned, he was only 18 months when the twins were born. They were also breastfed, so they were waking up every 2 to 3 hours to nurse. And only when they turned 1, I decided to dig into the whole sleep science world just to see how can I get my babies to sleep longer stretches without doing any separation-based methods, because that wasn't for me.
And that's where you came across holistic baby sleep. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the approach and what does it mean? What does holistic baby sleep actually mean?
So holistic baby sleep means we are looking at the whole picture, right? So I want you to imagine that sleep is like a puzzle, and I would be helping you put all the pieces together to figure out the root causes behind sleep challenges. Like, why is the child waking up, so that we can get them to sleep better. All children will sleep better or will sleep through the whole night once all their needs are met. They're not just waking up to annoy us, they're waking up to try and communicate a need. And unfortunately, in the younger years, they cry to try and communicate the need. It could be as simple as a tag on the pajamas is itching their back, or it could be that they're cold or warm. Like, it could be anything, really. So by taking the holistic approach, we really look at everything that impacts sleep to figure out why is a child waking up, and work on strategies to get them to sleep those longer stretches.
That's incredible. I was just telling you a while ago that my 5-month-old is waking up every 2 hours. And you mentioned that if it is to eat, then it's normal. But still in my head, I'm like, but why isn't he sleeping longer stretches? Because of what we're made to believe.
Exactly.
So at 5 months, let's say the baby's needs are met. It's normal for them to be waking up to eat.
Absolutely. Like you told me, he's a breastfed child. So if a breastfeeding kid is waking up every 2 to 3 hours to nurse and easily falls back asleep once nursed, that's completely normal. Like, there is not a problem to fix there.
Let's talk about that puzzle, because you said it's like putting a puzzle together.
Exactly, yeah.
How do you guide moms to figuring out why the baby is waking up?
So with all the families I work with, I usually work on an intake form. So it's a long questionnaire that will give me literally an idea about everything in the child's life that could be impacting their sleep. So it's all about getting to know the family, getting to know the kid, their stressors, their preferences. There's so much to look at, because what works for one family may not necessarily work for another family. So it's truly about getting to know the child, the mom, the dad, and everyone who lives in the household, to figure out how can we help this child get longer stretches. And what is the problem? Like, why is the child waking up more frequently than he should be, or he or she? So within the intake form, it's a questionnaire. It's a bit lengthy, so it can take up to 15 to 20 minutes for a mom to fill it out, but it truly pays off. Like, it truly covers all the boxes. So among the things we look at, the number one thing I always look into is medical conditions that sometimes can be potentially undiagnosed. So sometimes a child could be having enlarged adenoids or tonsils that are creating airway obstruction. So the child is actually waking up because they're not breathing well. So again, this is one of the first things we look at. Other things are allergies, intolerances. Do they have excessive gas or discomfort from the milk, from any source of food that they're having? Do they have low ferritin that can impact sleep as well? There's so much to look at medically, so many symptoms to check, just to make sure that none of those are causing the night wakes. Other things we look at is nutrition. Like, is a child having enough meals per day or milk? Are they meeting the growth charts? Are they intolerant to anything? Are they uncomfortable because of something they're eating? We look at the environment, the sleep environment. Where is the child sleeping? The temperature, the lights, the noise. And again, here, I want to reassure you that what works for one family doesn't necessarily work for another. So there is no one set checklist that I would send you or tell you, Nour, you need to do this and that. If a child is highly sensitive to noise, then we definitely need to mask the noise coming from the outside or even from the inside of the house. If a child is not bothered, then you can leave a little light on. Like, it does truly make a difference, like, between one household and the other. So the environment is another thing that we check together. The well-being at home Are there any stressors? Because children, they pick up on that. The mom's well-being, we as mothers, we are one big piece of the sleep puzzle. So if we're not feeling our best, our children, they pick up on our anxieties. We have what we call mirror neurons. So even if you're not saying a single word and you're anxious, or you're trying to reply to some work emails while you're doing the bedtime routine, children pick up on that. And it definitely raises their cortisol level, which is a stress hormone, and they can take it to bed with them. So there's really so much to look at. There's the temperament of the child. It plays a big factor in how they sleep. Some kids by nature are easygoing. Others, they need more sensory input throughout the day or before the bedtime. Some kids are easily stimulated, like rhythms and routines. They play a big factor as well. Like there's a million and one thing I could think of that impact sleep. So we definitely make sure to go through everything, because if one piece of this puzzle falls off, you're gonna have early rising, bedtime battles, children taking an hour to fall asleep at bedtime, false start when the child wakes up shortly after you put them to bed, frequent night wakes, split nights, you name it, like all kind of sleep challenges. So it's really important to take everything into consideration.
How long have you been working with families?
Almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And what would you say is one of the biggest challenge that moms come to you with?
The biggest challenge is not the baby sleep, it's the misconceptions that we were made to believe as moms. So one of the biggest challenges I face is just trying to rewire what we were made to believe about infant sleep, what is normal and what isn't. And this is the most challenging part. It's just rewiring the thinking, because we were made to believe that children should be sleeping through the night early on. We were made to believe that we need to be putting all our babies down drowsy but awake. So some moms would come to me. Some moms, of course, are like more flexible. They wouldn't worry, like it's okay if I need to still nurse my child to sleep, like as long as this is my breastfeeding goal and I don't want to disrupt my breastfeeding journey early on, for example. But some moms, like the challenging part could be that some moms truly believe that they need to put their baby down, shut the door, and have their baby sleep on their own. But that doesn't work for all babies. Like it might work for some if your child is like easygoing, but there is so much sleep education that needs to be done before you actually start solving the real sleep challenges.
Mm-hmm. What are some strategies that you give to moms that can help them in getting their babies to sleep longer stretches?
So it really depends on the case, really. Like if something is not within my scope of work, like if I see that the child has a medical condition, I always refer out, for example, to see a specialist. But like the most generic things that every family should be doing, let's say it's the bedtime routine. So for example, making sure there are no overstimulations before bed, no screens, dimming the lights, because of course, like the artificial lights that we all have in our households, they disrupt the circadian rhythm and they disrupt the melatonin production in the body. So this can make it harder for kids to fall asleep. So these are among the generic things that apply to every case, but it truly depends on each family and each household.
Let's talk about child sleep and attachment, mom's attachment. Can you tell us a bit more in the holistic sleep approach? How does that work?
So it's a very interesting question, because there's a lot of misinformation about attachment and sleep. So I feel like as new mothers, we are made to believe that we need to teach independence early on. And we need to kind of teach the child how to fall asleep on their own. However, according to studies and research, we know that attachment is really important. Like children, they need to attach. Before 1 year of age, children attach to the senses, which means if they cannot see you, smell you, or feel you, or touch you, they are in a state of alarm. We were wired as human beings to be in a state of alarm if we're not close to mom, because that's how our DNA was actually wired billions of years ago when mothers used to live in caves. We used to keep our baby close because we were always worried that an animal, a monkey, could walk in and take the baby away. So it's truly built in our DNA to seek this closeness to mom in the early month. And this is why you would see that younger children, they need contact naps. Like a lot of moms come to me and they're like, my baby will not settle in their crib. They only want to sleep on me. And this can be perfectly normal for some children, because this is how attachment works during the first year. So the thing about attachment is that the more we actually let our children rely on us, the more we create a nurturing environment for them and let them know that when they need us, we are actually here for them, we show up, the more independent they will become once they are developmentally ready for it. Whereas the more we try to push independence and kind of push attachment, like we're not really filling their attachment cup all the time, the more it can backfire and they will become extra clingy. And this can lead to more frequent night wakes. It can result in that.
Would you say there's an age by which the majority of kids should be sleeping through the night?
Yes, you might be shocked. But it is very normal for children to still wake up once or twice during the night, as long as they're easily settled back to sleep, of course. Like I'm not talking about split nights where they wake up for 20 minutes to 2 hours. But if they're waking up for less than a minute and they just want to see that you're here, you pat on their back, you sing to them, like however you choose to comfort them back to sleep, that can be totally normal for up until age 4 or even 5 for highly sensitive kids. Yeah. If there are more wakes, then definitely something's up, unless they're going through something developmental, like a regression or teething pain, of course. But otherwise, there is something that's bugging them, and this is where we take the holistic approach and figure out why are they waking up more than they should be, and we try to get them to sleep those longer stretches.
Wow, my daughter still wakes up, actually, and she's almost 4.
Is it more than once or twice?
No.
Then I would
once.
say it's normal. And she's easily settled back. Then that's normal.
Yeah.
Like at this age, children can be afraid of the dark. They could be afraid to be alone in their room. And it's not like so many moms think that babies hate their cribs. It's not the crib that they hate or their room or the dark. It's actually the fear of separation from you, which is very valid at this age.
You mentioned the dark. We're also told to be, to put babies in a pitch dark room, and to, that any little light can sort of stimulate them and distract them. What's your take on that?
It doesn't apply to everyone. Some kids are really unbothered. If you see kids in Scandinavian countries, they take naps outside in strollers in broad daylight. Like it doesn't bug them. Some kids are highly sensitive. So this is where getting to know the child and what works for them truly helps. Because I would actually recommend that a child takes naps with a little bit of light coming in, if not fully. Like the pitch black room during the day will get them to go into deep sleep, and this will result in less sleep pressure at night, and it might actually disrupt their nighttime sleep. So it's actually better for them to sleep in daylight. Unless the child is highly sensitive, then I would definitely recommend to try and get blackout curtains, otherwise they wouldn't be taking the naps.
How do you identify a child that is highly sensitive?
There's so much to look at. So I don't like to label any kid as highly sensitive, but there are things that we can, like boxes we can tick that would indicate that this child is more sensitive than another one. So for example, they hate bath time, they hate the water, they hate brushing their teeth, brushing their hair. They are easily awakened if they hear a tiny noise. If they see any lights, they're easily awakened. They cannot sleep in daylight. There's so many things to look at, like just to kind of see what works for the child.
Mm-hmm. And this is in part of like the form and the initial like early discussions that you have with parents.
Okay. Absolutely. There are so many questions to ask that can give me an idea if this child is highly sensitive or not.
For parents that want to work with you, where can they find you?
Online. I have a website, sleepymomdiaries.com, and I have an Instagram community. It's also called Sleepy Mom Diaries. That's basically where you can find me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. We'll add all the links in the show notes below.
Lovely. Thanks.
Nada, I think it all sounds really interesting. However, I can imagine that when a mom comes to you and she's tired and she's been trying to put her baby to sleep, and for you to tell her like, okay, let's dive in, let's figure it out, let's go through these steps, can affect her in one way or another, emotionally specifically. Yeah. How do you support them emotionally through this journey?
So whenever a mom comes to me, I'm always reachable. So via text messages, via phone calls. I know it can be draining, especially when there's too many changes to make. However, I feel like most moms, like I don't want to be unrealistic and say 100% all moms, but everyone I've worked with has truly appreciated every piece of advice I have given them, honestly, because it actually makes them feel more validated, their emotions. It makes them feel more aware and confident about their choices as mothers, and it makes them feel confident in their sleep journey. So it actually gives them more rest. Plus, Nour, like during the first year postpartum, us as women, our emotions, they juggle, right? Like there's a risk of not necessarily depression, but postpartum mood disorders. Like our emotions are up and down. It really depends. So whenever I suspect any red flags going on, like if the mom is really burnt out and she needs support, I also refer out. Like I always tell her, I'm here for you, I'm here to listen, but if things get out of hand, I always refer out to either a specialist, a therapist, if the mom needs therapy, but as a friend, I'm always available just to listen and to give advice in the field that I'm an expert on.
You know, when working with sleep consultants, moms are usually told as part of the package, get your baby sleeping, in 4 weeks, or get your baby sleeping in 3 weeks.
God, yes, I know.
Do you set a timeline?
No.
On your...
No.
I'm not even going to finish the question.
Yeah, I can't. Because that's so unrealistic. Because there is no way you can decide how long it's going to take for a child to sleep better. One, it truly depends if the family does make any changes, the ones that you're recommending. Two, it depends, like what is the case? Is it about a medical condition? That's going to take more time, of course. Like if the child's not breathing well through their nose, then they're going to have to see a specialist. They might need surgery. They might need myofunctional therapy. They might need, I don't know, it could be a million and one thing. It could be that they have allergies. You need to remove the mold from inside the household. It could be a million and one thing again. So to just say, I'm going to get your baby sleeping through the night in a day or 2 or 4 weeks, that's just marketing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That leads me to my next question, which is about what are some of the biggest misconceptions you've heard on baby sleep?
Oh, there's so many. I love this question. The number one big misconception that all moms I've worked with, including me as a new mom, have felt for is getting the babies to sleep through the night early on. What does sleeping through the night mean? Even us as adults, we have sleep cycles, right? So first you start with a deep sleep and then you're in the lighter stage of sleep, but we all have sleep cycles and we connect them throughout the night automatically. We don't even realize we are waking up, but even us as adults, we wake up during the night. So children, their sleep cycles tend to be shorter, and they often need our support to put them back to sleep, which is totally normal for young children. So to expect a baby to sleep through the night early on is just unrealistic. As I said earlier, a child can still be waking up once or twice during the night as long as they're easily settled back to sleep up until age 4 or 5. In newborns, it is actually a mechanism of survival, frequent night wakes. It protects them against SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. So it's actually a good thing that they're not going into deep sleep for too long. They're waking up, and that's the way biology made us as humans. So again, to expect babies to sleep through the night is just something that makes us as moms feel like we're constantly failing, because most children will not sleep through the night. I
think we've all gotten that question.
Yeah.
Oh, your baby's not sleeping through the night yet?
No, of course not. Like some babies do. Yes, I'm pretty sure we all hear about that one child who sleep through the night since they were newborns and they never needed any support. Yes, they do exist. Studies tend to show that these kids are less than 20% of the entire world population, and they tend to have what we call the easygoing temperament. So these are the kids that you can put down drowsy but awake. But it doesn't work for all kids, and not everybody will sleep through the night early on, and it can be perfectly normal. Yeah.
I think a lot of myths are going around, and that actually brings me to a fun round that I like to call the lightning round, where we will go through some, I'll tell you a sentence, tell me if you think it's myth or truth and why. So the first one is... well, you just covered this one, but babies should sleep through the night by 6 months.
No, it's a myth. It's a myth for sure.
Okay, one of my favorites. Holding your baby too much creates bad habits.
Absolutely not. It actually creates a strong attachment bond. It's very nurturing, and it actually makes your child understand that when they need you, you're going to show up. And this is what will create true independence down the line.
Mm-hmm. So there's no such thing as, you're rocking your baby to sleep too much.
Absolutely
You should
not.
not pick up your baby when they're crying, because then you'll create bad habits.
Absolutely not. You can never comfort your baby too much.
Okay.
And rocking, if it works for you, of course, it actually, it's a soothing mechanism because it calms down the nervous system. So anything that requires swinging or rocking, so if the child is in a stressful situation, it actually calms down the nervous system. So it's really good. And it gets the child to fall asleep faster. So if it works for you, do it. Of course, it's not a bad thing.
But, actually, how can parents tell the difference between, before I continue with the rest of the lightning round, how can parents tell the difference between what is true and what is not?
And by true or not, you mean when it comes to sleep rules and misconceptions?
Because there's a lot around. There's a lot on social media. There's a lot from parents. There's a lot from friends.
I know.
And it's so confusing.
It's a double-edged sword. You can ask Google and have a million conflicting advice, or even ChatGPT, or your mom, your mother-in-law, your friend, your cousin. You're gonna hear so many conflicting advice about sleep. How can you tell what's true and what isn't? What's true and what isn't it's really following your mom heart, your instinct. Our maternal instinct is a guiding force, and if something doesn't feel right for you, it means it's not right for your baby. So truly, just trust your gut feeling.
I think that's really good advice.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. If you don't feel like something, if you feel like something isn't working for you, then it's probably not. And then you're saying there are other methods to look at, right?
Absolutely.
That's really good advice. My next one, more daytime sleep means worse nighttime sleep. And actually, I'll tell you a bit about my personal experience. When we go to Lebanon to see family, I get so many people telling me, wake the baby up because then they'll sleep better through the night.
It's a tricky question because it can be true in some cases and it can be very wrong in other cases. So it truly depends. How old is your baby? How long are they sleeping during the night? How many naps are they taking? And what is the sleep total? How long are they sleeping per 24 hours? So it really depends on the case. If your child is exceeding the daytime recommendation, then yes, of course, it's better to wake them up because otherwise they're not going to have enough sleep pressure to fall asleep at night. But as long as their naps are adequate and they're sleeping for an okay amount of time, don't wake them up, just let them sleep. So it really depends on the case. I would have to do a math equation just to understand it a little bit better, the case.
Do you recommend for moms to actually have a strict nap schedule?
No, I don't recommend it. It does work for some. So I know a lot of moms I've worked with, they cannot function if they don't have a strict schedule set. Because this is how they live, if they don't know what time is the child going to sleep, what time are they waking up, they cannot plan their day, and it just drives them to feel like they're failing otherwise. So, of course, for this types of mom, I would recommend, try to have some kind of schedule, but don't make it too strict, because on the day where your child maybe sleeps a tiny bit longer during the nap or needed a little bit of extra sleep, and you wake them up, you might risk having them overtired, and this is going to backfire in the second nap or at bedtime. So it's actually quite tricky. However, what I truly recommend is not having any strict schedule, but following wake windows. So ideally waking up the child every day at around the same hour so that their meal times, their nap times are around the same time almost every day. But it's all about following the rhythm and sleepy cues.
Can you tell us some of those sleepy cues?
Yes, of course. So for newborns, it's when they do this with their hands, it can be yawning, it can be just gazing. For older kids, they can become cranky, irritable. They will start no longer making eye contact, no longer playful. You're going to see it. Some kids are very tricky, honestly. So with some kids, you may never know. They have this FOMO, the fear of missing out, and they're never going to let you know that they're tired. But with some kids, it's really easy to
that's my son.
See it.
My son has FOMO for
sure.
No. He's like, no, the party's down here.
So you gotta keep trying. Wake windows work for him. Yeah.
But sometimes he gets their little red eyebrows, and you're like, okay, I think you're tired. I think tired. We need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Teething always ruins sleep.
Not for all kids, no. So again, this goes back to the sensitivity of the child. I'm going to give you an example with my own twins. I've witnessed this firsthand. With one of them, not just the whole household, like the whole community would know that he's teething 1 month before a tooth pops out, because he'd be so irritable, waking up every hour. He's really, truly bothered. And then once the tooth erupts, he's going to be all smiles and happy. My other twin, I wouldn't know he is teething. Like he'd be smiling during the day and I see there's a new tooth. I'm like, where did this come from? So again, it depends on the sensitivity of the kid. Some kids their nights are easily disrupted when they're teething. This is like one of the major sleep disruptors. For other kids, not necessarily.
You know what I'm getting a lot from, I think, this conversation is how important the individuality of the kid is. And we often forget that. Or we're told that all kids are the same.
Not
but
at
in
all.
fact, there is so much more to this little kid than meets the eye, you know? And it's about really exploring that.
Absolutely.
I think I know the answer to this one, but sleep training is the only way to get long stretches.
Absolutely not. You can always get your child to sleep those longer stretches without resorting to separation-based methods.
And when we say sleep training, we're talking about all the different, even like the
All
gentle.
of them. Yes.
The
So
gentle
whether
methods.
it's the cry it out method or the gentle sleep training method, like the one I was advised to do, the chair method, but then you also have the Ferber method where you do timely check-ins, you go in and out of the room. There's so many others. Like every day there's a new one coming out. However, at the end of the day, they all use separation to get the child to sleep, and they don't necessarily answer the needs. So again, as I said at the start of the session, it could be as simple as the tag on the pajamas is itching the child's back. So by going in and out of the room every 10 minutes, you're not really solving that problem. So we're not really looking into everything that impacts sleep to meet their needs and get them to sleep better. So that's why I highly advise the holistic approach always.
Some babies are just bad sleepers.
It's not true. I hear this a lot. A lot of people think that their babies are bad sleepers. Everybody loves to sleep. We all need sleep to function the next day, for brain development, for everything, literally, just to be able to function and be present the next day. Nobody hates sleep. It's just some kids have lower sleep needs than others. So again, this is something that I've seen with my twins. Let's say when they were 2 years old, one of them always needed 11 hours of sleep. The other one needed 13 hours of sleep. And I'm talking about the total per 24 hours. So they never had the same amount of sleep needs. Each human is truly unique. So there are no bad sleepers. It's just different for each human being. Some kids have lower sleep needs. Some kids have higher sensitivities. And there's always so much to look at to figure out why is a child a bad sleeper,
And ahead of the holiday season, we're recording this now, but, holiday season is coming up. Lots of travel plans are coming up. Do you have some advice for moms that are traveling with kids that still nap?
Sure. So my personal advice, like what I would apply to me, if it were me, I just go with the flow. Like try to relax about it. Things will not be perfect. You cannot have a strict schedule when you're traveling because you're going to be out and about. There's going to be a lot of overstimulation. You're going to be doing outings, more people. Like you're not going to be in your day-to-day rhythm or routine. So my best advice is to just be flexible. Let things go. Have your baby nap on the go, whether in a carrier, stroller ride, car seat, whatever. Just let them sleep on the go. Don't try to be very strict about it. And you'll get back into your routine once you're back from holidays.
I have one more before we move on, and that is they'll sleep when they're tired.
No. I wish. That's a really big misconception because, yes, I've heard it too. Like, they'll sleep when they're tired. I wish, because once children become overtired, they actually get this false sense of hyperactivity. So you would see a child jumping up and down and they're just so active right before bedtime. And no, it's not because they didn't let the energy out during the day. It's because they're probably already past their bedtime and they're overtired. So this is going to make them more restless at bedtime. It's going to be harder to put them to sleep, and they're going to have a chance of waking up more frequently. So no, unfortunately, not all children will sleep once they're tired.
Okay. And Nada, I know you have a freebie for us. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So the freebie is about mantras every mom can repeat, whether it's throughout the hard nights or in the mornings, like to start the day, just something that all moms could use. To just remind themselves that they're a great mom, doing great things, and they can survive regressions, teething pain, like all phases of sleep disruptions that babies go through developmentally, that it's going to be okay. And these are all short-lived phases, and they're going to get their sleep back.
We'll as well add the link to the downloadable in the show notes below. And Nada, you mentioned regressions. How can moms survive those sleep regressions that their little ones are going through?
So the thing about regressions is that we call them regressions, right? Which is a negative word, unfortunately. Yes, sleep regresses. We're up more frequently during the night once the child goes through it. But I always advise moms to actually celebrate this period of time because it means the child's brain is developing. They're growing rapidly. They're learning a lot of new milestones. So it's really important to also see the positive side of it. How can they survive? First tip is to always give the child plenty of floor time during the day and opportunities to practice their new skills, because regressions happen once they're learning a new milestone, they're learning a lot of new things at the same time. So if they're strapped in a stroller or bouncer or a high chair all day long, they're not going to get to practice, and then you're going to see them in the middle of the night talking, babbling, rolling, or whatever, like, Mom, I'm here, look what I can do. So just give them plenty of daytime opportunities and try to rest as much as you can. I'm not going to tell you nap when the baby naps, because that's not realistic. It never worked for me. There's always so much to do when the baby naps. However, try to get rest, and if possible, lean on your village. It truly takes a village to raise a child, so don't be afraid or ashamed to ask for help, especially during regressions.
What is one thing you wish parents knew about holistic sleep?
So one thing I wish everybody knew about holistic sleep is that it actually works. Once you really tick all the boxes, you're going to get the rest that you all need for the whole family. So it's actually really good for everybody.
Well, Nada, to end our session today, for the mom out there that's listening, that's exhausted, sleep deprived, and is just feeling like nothing is working for her, what is some advice that you would give her?
So one advice I would give to all the exhausted moms is to truly tune into their intuition and know that there are always solutions to get them the rest that they need and to get their babies to sleep better. It doesn't have to be sleep training if that's not for them, or sleep deprivation. There are always things you can do to get your child to sleep better.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nada. Thank you for being here, and thank you for this discussion. I think, I'll just keep my outro super short because you covered everything. There's a lot of options for moms out there. If you're wondering about your little one's sleep, you can always reach out to Nada. As I mentioned before, we'll add the show notes in the link below. Remember that you can always reach out to us as well. You can find us on contact@Madinat Mom. You can find us on www.madinatmom.com, or you can reach us through our Instagram @Madinat Mom. If you have a story of your own to share, make sure to share it with us. And if you've enjoyed this episode as much as we've enjoyed making it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, take care of yourselves as fiercely as you take care of your little ones.